everyone, it's me, Nikki, and today I am back with another historical book recommendation video. There's no medieval ones this time, they're just all post and pre-medieval. So that'll be fun. The first one I have is The Four Feathers. I talked about this in my wrap-up for whatever month it was. I don't know. Time is its own thing at this point. It's about Harry Feversham, who resigns from his military duty, and then he's shamed by four people, one of whom is his fiance, and then he basically proves that he was never a coward by doing great things. This is set in I think the 1880s, 1890s maybe, and it was written in 1902, so not too far off from when it was set, but I still consider that historical. Okay, next. This one, I'm including it, but I'm not 100% sure. I feel it's historical, but other people may not. It's King Solomon's Mines, and it was written in, let's see if I can find it, around 1885, and that's probably when it's set. It might be set a little earlier. I'm not 100% sure. It's been a while since I read this. And this is the first Allan Quatermain book. And he goes off with a couple people in search of King Solomon's diamond mines in Africa. And they run across a mysterious lost tribe of African warriors. So I consider it historical. I mean, it's not historically accurate because it's a fiction novel, but it's still considered historical. Let's see. The next one is Year of Wonders, a novel of the plague. It is set in 1666. And it is about one woman, Anna, and it follows her through, this happened in real life. It might have been the 1600 plagues, it could have been the 1300s plagues, but her city decides to quarantine itself essentially from everybody else. So nothing will come in or out of the village. There's a little map right there. And so it's sort of based on a true story. And it's about what happens to Anna and the village. And they're quarantining like we are now to make sure the plague doesn't spread farther. And this is proposed by a visionary young minister, and then shit happens, and there's witch huntings, and people are just falling apart, and Anna has to survive all of that. So I think there's a bit of romance. I don't remember, it's been a while since I read it. And I do remember liking it, so I think this is a good book. Next we have, what I think is my second oldest historical book, The Love Artist. It is set, in the time of Augustus, so after Caesar. I think it's right around when Augustus is, he's already the emperor, but he doesn't have quite as much power as he wants. Sorry, stop. And this is about Ovid, who was the most popular poet, and he's banished from Rome. And he meets a part healer, part witch, called Xenia, Xenia. And he lures her, as it says here on the back, from her home by the Black Sea to Rome. I don't think there is a map in this. And because he's in love with her, and it looks like a little bit like Jennifer Lawrence on the cover. And he's writing, he's soon to be published Metamorphoses, and that's why he's sort of entranced by her. And I believe Augustus's sister or daughter, both named Julia, are also in this book, and I believe they are exiled and or killed around the same time as Ovid. So this is just sort of like a little what if, because nobody knows why he was banished. And apparently only 2 lines of his play, Medea, which I'll explain, it reputedly his most passionate, most accomplished work. Medea would probably be about Jason and Medea, and Jason married Medea and then wanted to divorce her, and then she killed their kids, I think, and maybe even his new kid that he was going to have. So that's interesting. I don't remember everything, like I said, in a couple of the other ones. It's been a while since I read it, but yeah, I definitely picked that up. The next... bugs everywhere in this damn weather. The next book is the Physic Book of Deliverance Dane. It is a dual perspective about Deliverance Dane in Salem, Massachusetts in 1681, and where's her name? Connie in Marblehead, Massachusetts, 1991. So it's about witches, basically, and it's about how Connie relates to Deliverance, and I think she finds the so-called Physic book, or she is looking for it, and covers a lot of time, like in the past. Goes from 1760, and yeah, I believe Catherine Howe, it says here on the back, is a descendant of Elizabeth Proctor, who might have been related to somebody who survived the Salem witch trials, and Elizabeth Howe, who did not. So I believe both of those Elizabeths are in there. I don't know if Deliverance Dane was a real person, but it does go over the witch trials and everything that happened, basically. The next book is part of a series, and it is My Lady Jane. It is about Lady Jane Grey, who was the 9-day Queen of England, appointed by Edward the whatever, I can't remember, and then Mary the first came in and basically was like, LOL, no, I'm the queen, down with Protestantism, and her head was cut off. I think her whole family, not her whole family, but like whoever was up to it were killed, and then, you know, she became Bloody Mary, and then we got Elizabeth, blah, blah, blah. Excuse me. So this is that, but instead of Protestants and Catholics, it's people who turn into animals and people who don't. So Henry VIII turns into a lion, and then he's like, oh yeah, people who turn into animals aren't bad. All the other stuff happened, like he killed all his wives and whatever. And I believe Jane and Edward are cousins. They are, but they're also best friends, and they both want to turn into animals. And this is also covering Jane's marriage to whoever her husband was. He died too, I think. And it's sort of like, it's historical because it's based on on real events, and it turns them magic, and then it twists them even more. So, yeah. I didn't pick up the second one because that one is about Jane. I was gonna say Jane Austen. It's about Jane Eyre. But Charlotte Bronte and maybe all of her siblings are in it, but so that's like historical because they're in it, but it's mainly about the characters in Jane Eyre, so you could count it, but I didn't for this list. The next one, however, is My Calamity Jane, I believe. And that is about Calamity Jane, who was a real person, therefore it's historical. And the final one I have is The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, and its sequel, The Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy, and the third one, whatever that one's called. But this one is about Percy, and oh no, sorry, that's his crush. It's about Monty and Percy, and they are going on a grand tour of Europe, as was fashionable back then. Let's see if it says when this is set. 17 blank. So that's, you can put whatever year you want in the 1700s. Oh, yeah, it's got a map. Yay, maps. And Monty is in love with Percy, and he's like, this is sort of like his last chance to tell him. And I believe Percy is half black, but he's not raised by his parents. It might be his aunt and uncle. I can't 100% remember. But then it sort of veers off this grand tour of Europe and into piracy and manhunts and things like that. So it's a fun read. It's a thick book, but it feels like a quick read. I would read both of these because the second one is probably more, well, they're set in the 1700s, so, but the second one is about Monty's sister, who does more piratey stuff, and the third one is about their baby brother that was just born at the beginning of the first one. So that should be in 1800s maybe? I don't know. The book will come out, I think, in August. Maybe. Possibly. We'll find out. So those are my book recommendations for the time being. I will do another one once I read all the historical books I have surrounding me. And a lot of these, I was putting books on my shelf from the last videos, and I was like, oh yeah, that's historical. Oh, that can be historical. So maybe I'll find some more that are historical when I put these back. Maybe. I have a lot of them. I like history books. So that is it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.